tales of the Bell Witch have tormented Tennesseans for over 2 centuries. It all started on a farm near Adams, Tennessee, where legend has it that John Bell Sr. was plagued and murdered by a witch in 1820. The legend of the Bell Witch is a well-known story in Southern folklore. It tells the account of a ghost who haunted a Tennessee home over 200 years ago. Many folks in Robertson County believe she is still alive and present till date. She's become a well-known legendary witch, generating films and documentaries and attracting the attention of the global media and storytelling industry. As the facts that accompany this event are clearly overwhelming, we have been prompted to develop a niche of the story utilizing documentary as our platform.
So, my name's Elijah Henderson.
And I'm Gabrielle Henderson.
We formed the Cryptid Studies Institute. We're based at Clarksville, Tennessee. And we've been researching since about 2001, 2002.
We basically grew up in it. We've been doing it since we were children. With the whole booth and the group, we really kicked into high gear a couple years ago, really, though.
We visit Adams, Tennessee, home of the Bell Witch often, not quite proper research, but, we know where the farm is, where John Bell's
We
buried.
do miniature documentaries that we put on YouTube, which you can find on the Cryptid Studies Institute YouTube channel.
One of our most recent ones was the Bell Witch haunting, and that's turned up, a whole lot of interesting stuff. In our research with the Bell Witch video, something sat down in the bed with my mother, something sat down in the bed with my dad. We have all kinds of lights turned on by themselves, heard what sounded like coughing and gurgling from the back of our house when nobody was back there, just kind of small things like that, nothing big.
Even more intriguing, unlike many other paranormal entities, this one is supported by genuine personal encounters, testimony, and documents recorded by those involved in the haunting.
Hey guys, my name is Russ Nowak. I live in Clarksville, Tennessee. A lot of people talking questions about the Bell Witch Cave and the Bell Witch itself. We've followed it and studied it quite a bit in the last 10, 20 years, and I've had one or two little things that happened to us that happened to do with the Bell Witch itself. And that was about 8 or 10 years ago. We went for a cave tour. When we got done with the cave tour, we got back to the house, and some strange things started to happen to the audio on our TV that was attached to the. Well, that could be explained by anything, but we just joked around and said that's just the Bell Witch. She came back to follow us a little bit. And then a couple of days later, I had a situation in my own house where I keep a, I guess you'd call it a key box or a little memento box. It has a lid on it. It has a little tray in the front, and that tray has a raised lip. And it's big enough to hold a small, a good-sized softball, so to speak. I use a ball that I use for juggling, and I would put it in, just leave it on that tray. Now, this one particular afternoon, it was sitting on the tray. Right above it is a small little shelf, and there's several books, and one was the Bell Witch book that I got from the Bell Witch farm. I purchased there when we went for one of the tours. It's not the red book, and I'm at a loss for the name of it, but it's a black book. Anyways, it was sitting there. I left the room, the ball sitting there in that little tray, and all of a sudden I heard this big thud. I said, what in the world is that? And I ran running back into the room, come around the corner, and I see that ball had fallen onto the floor. So a heavy juggling ball fell off of a tray that had a raised lip of about a half an inch. With nothing in the room, there's no wind that's going to blow a ball off of something like that. And only one thing else had moved in the room, and that was the Bell Witch book. The Bell Witch book had fallen forward and fallen down onto the table itself, where the ball had fallen onto the floor. So we'd like to think that the witch was letting us know she was around, and she either approved or disapproved of our visit. But if you ever get a chance, go see the Bell Witch at the Bell Witch Cave. They hopefully will be doing tours very soon, in the near future, because they've stopped because of COVID and that sort of thing. But it's a great place to look around. They also have a festival every October, so hopefully they'll start that back up again too. So they've stopped that in the last 2 years also for COVID. So but hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Though many have fought and questioned the validity of this narrative, personal encounters and evidences available to the media and those who wish to examine provide clear evidence of the adventures and haunting of this legendary character known as the Bell Witch. In 1804, John Bell and his family purchased 300 acres of land in what is now known as Adams, Tennessee. Over a decade later, in 1817, the disruption and haunting by witchcraft activities began. It all began with noises. For the most part, things like hammering on doors, slaps on walls, and unnerving chain rattling became the order of the day, marking the arrival of the Bell Witch. Before long, a creature they couldn't recognize appeared. It was categorized as half dog, half rabbit, and it had no business being there. To further consolidate its witchery antecedents, soon blankets were being yanked from beds. 3 Bell boys had fought under General Andrew Jackson, and Jackson was so taken with the account that he insisted on paying a visit to the family. The witch tormented his soldiers, stopping the carriage wheels and screaming out the frauds in Jackson's company until they were discovered the next morning in a field on their way to Nashville. Kate persisted in tormenting the family, promising to kill John Bell. A container of what was apparently poison was discovered after Bell took his final breath in 1820. The Bell family, from the first generation to the very last generation, had all gone through the face of this enormous torment, and it's up to date a scar that has refused to disappear from their skins. Kate the Bell Witch slowed down its activities after John Bell's death, only coming for scheduled visits with remaining family members. People claim to hear voices, see candlelights, and photograph orbs and other ghostly apparitions in the region even today. Robert now lives in the house John did, but he believes a Bible dated 1820 is what really held the Bell Witch spirit inside the home. Finally, there is no explanation for what happened, and there probably never will be. The Bell Witch is one of the most well-known haunts in Southern folklore, and the truth remains that legendary activities of various scary doings, the tortures and witchcraft activities that also extends to other people around John Bell. This exploits of the witch Kate Batts, popularly called the Bell Witch, is a mystery that will always be an interesting discussion we may engage in any time, any day, as it was obvious and proven that Kate Batts, the assumed Bell Witch, took out her revenge as promised on John Bell by seeing his end in the most unthinkable way ever.